You can install the most sophisticated security system on the planet to guard your mansion's front gate, reinforce it with titanium locks and surveillance cameras on every corner. And it means absolutely nothing if you leave the back window wide open. Someone is walking through that window regardless of what you spent on the front door. The Los Angeles Dodgers answer the closer question loudly and expensively, dropping $63 million on Edwin Diaz to bolt the ninth inning shut with a golden padlock. The problem is that Andrew Friedman's front office woke up this week and confronted a brutal reality they somehow missed during the offseason planning sessions. To reach the ninth inning, you must first survive the seventh and the eighth. The bridge connecting elite starting pitching to Diaz's entrance music collapsed completely. Panic setting across Hollywood, and the bombshell analyst Zachary Reimer, just detonated in the market, sketches the perfect extortion scenario. The Dodgers have their eyes locked on Tampa Bay Rays reliever Griffin Jax. Today we're slicing through the dark mathematics of this operation with surgical precision. We'll expose why a pitcher carrying a 4.04 career ERA somehow became the salvation target for the wealthiest franchise on the planet, how baseball's swift justice positioned Tampa Bay to squeeze every last dollar and prospect out of Hollywood's desperation, and what it truly costs to drain your farm system fixing a planning error your own offseason philosophy created. Before I pull up the analytical reports on this arm, I'm putting the GM phone directly in your hand. You're making Los Angeles' future decisions right now. Do you have the nerve to surrender our golden young talent to the Tampa Bay Rays just to acquire a 31-year-old reliever with exactly one elite season on his entire resume? Or does paying the full desperation tax for an inconsistent bullpen arm represent the clearest possible evidence that this front office has completely lost the plot? Think with a calculator in hand, because Tampa Bay has never once confused charity with business strategy. Let's reconstruct the scene of this tactical extortion. Griffin Jax is not a name that moves merchandise or sells out autograph sessions. Scan his career numbers at surface level, and the 4.04 ERA screams mediocrity. The kind of profile that gets a pitcher designated for assignment by small market teams rebuilding toward the future. But the Dodgers' analytical department doesn't evaluate players through the rearview mirror. They reverse engineer the machinery underneath the results. In 2024 with the Minnesota Twins, Jax operated like something assembled in a laboratory rather than developed through conventional pitching instruction. He posted a 2.03 ERA while accumulating nearly 100 strikeouts in a relief role, numbers that transformed his market perception overnight. But the metric that genuinely ignited Los Angeles' interest cuts deeper than traditional statistics. His pitching plus rating sits at 128, a figure measuring the true lethality of his arsenal relative to league average. Across the entire current pitching landscape, only Aroldis Chapman, at his absolute peak, produced a comparable reading. That number tells the analytical staff that Jax's stuff, when properly deployed, belongs among the sport's elite relievers regardless of what the career ERA suggests about his consistency. He also carries 2 remaining years of cost-control contract with Tampa Bay, meaning the Rays hold maximum leverage over a team that needs him immediately. This is precisely where baseball's swift justice arrives in Hollywood with an itemized invoice for organizational overconfidence. The Dodgers assembled one of history's most expensive offensive lineups, invested heavily in a marquee closer, and apparently concluded the middle innings would manage themselves through some combination of roster depth and coaching creativity. The karma attached to that dismissive approach toward bullpen construction was a gaping structural hole exposed before the season established any meaningful rhythm. You cannot spend 9 figures on the front and back of your pitching staff while treating the middle as an afterthought and expect October to forgive the oversight. The supreme punishment for this particular brand of arrogance is the negotiating partner waiting on the other end of the phone. Tampa Bay doesn't participate in distressed asset sales. They orchestrate them. The Rays front office purchased Jax when his value sat near its floor, acquiring him to the kind of patient, analytically precise transaction that defines their organizational philosophy. They identified the 128 pitching plus score buried beneath inconsistent results, recognized the correctable mechanical issues suppressing his performance, and waited for precisely this moment. A desperate, resource-rich buyer needing immediate middle-inning relief with a championship clock ticking loudly in the background. Tampa Bay will charge all-star market prices for a pitcher with an inconsistent track record, and they will collect every dollar of that premium without apology or negotiation flexibility. They understand with complete clarity that the Dodgers hemorrhage leverage every time a starter exits in the sixth inning, and the bridge to Diaz crumbles under pressure. That knowledge transforms a reliever with one elite season into a commodity priced like a franchise cornerstone, and the Rays have never once left that kind of market inefficiency unexploited. The broader organizational lesson embedded in this situation deserves examination beyond the immediate transaction. What the Dodgers are experiencing represents the compounding cost of sequential planning errors rather than a single catastrophic miscalculation. The rotation's fragility was knowable before spring training opened. The bullpen structural weakness was visible in the offseason market data. The decision to address the closer position with premium resources while leaving the bridge innings to chance reflected either genuine analytical blind spots or an institutional overconfidence that believed starting pitching quality would naturally reduce bullpen dependence. Neither explanation reflects well on a front office operating with unlimited resources and the sport's deepest analytical infrastructure. Jax's specific profile creates interesting deployment questions beyond his raw stuff. His 2024 performance with Minnesota demonstrated elite capability in high-leverage situations, the exact environment where the Dodgers bridge currently collapses. But the career trajectory surrounding that single dominant season raises legitimate questions about whether the Rays optimized the correct mechanical pattern or simply benefited from a genuine outlier performance that regression will eventually reclaim. At 31 years old, with 2 years of controllable salary remaining, Jax represents either a sustained breakout entering his prime or a peak and decline arc that Tampa Bay is strategically offloading at maximum value. The Dodgers analytical team has presumably modeled both scenarios exhaustively, and their continued interest despite the uncertainty suggests the underlying pitch metrics justify the risk premium. A 128 pitching plus doesn't emerge from statistical noise. It reflects genuine arsenal quality that can produce elite results when a mechanical foundation supports it consistently. The question isn't whether Jax can be dominant. The 2024 evidence confirms he can. The question is whether Hollywood's coaching infrastructure can sustain that dominance across a full season and into October, when every pitch carries playoff consequence. Consider also the psychological dimension of this acquisition for the broader roster. Diaz's presence in the ninth creates a defined endpoint that the entire bullpen can pitch toward. Adding a reliever of Jax's demonstrated ceiling to the seventh or eighth inning removes the single most dangerous variable currently threatening Los Angeles' championship trajectory. Games that current middle relievers are surrendering with damaging frequency become victories, and the compounding effect of those converted close games across a full season represents the difference between a division title and a wild card scramble. The operating table is fully prepped, and this contract just drops squarely into your lap, staring directly at the championship urgency that Ohtani and Freeman's simultaneous prime demands. Do you hit the green button, accept Tampa Bay's extortion pricing, and lock down Griffin Jax's arm to stop bleeding late-game leads before October arrives? Or do you hold the prospect capital, trust the homegrown bullpen pieces to grow into their roles, and pray the bridge doesn't collapse at the worst possible moment during the postseason? Unleash your verdict in the comments without mercy. Los Angeles has never rewarded cowardice in the marketplace, and this front office must decide right now whether paying the desperation tax is smarter than gambling on improving solutions. And do not step away from this channel for even a moment, because while we're scrambling to repair the bullpen structural damage, a nuclear-level crisis detonated inside the National League West overnight. The San Diego Padres just dropped a shocking ultimatum targeting their own offensive star, following a locker room ego clash that's spiraling out of control. The identity of that market-shaking monster about to hit the trade block? I'm exposing every detail in the next video. Stay locked in.